Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. And today I have Gail Ward here with me again to do our moon updates. Gail's from Relax and Shine, and we collaborate together because Gail brings the whole element of her intuition and different healing modalities. So, welcome, Gail. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Diana. And it's just such a wonderful way to spend some time with you and to collaborate and, like you say, learn about the aspects that are affecting us all at this time. So I'm really keen to hear what you've got to share with us for this coming weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, this coming weekend. So we not only have a new moon, but it is actually a annular solar eclipse in Libra at 21 degrees and 8 minutes. So that's happening October 14th. So on Saturday at 11:55 a.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 6:55 UK time. So, and if you're in the Eastern time zone, we are at it'll be 1:55 p.m. So yeah, it's a pretty changing time that we're in right now. I don't know if everyone can feel the different energy. Eclipses always bring change. They always bring fated events. And I have the chart up. So, and I just put it for an Aries rising is what I did. So that we can start with the first sign in the zodiac. And I put it for the noon so that we can see over here we have our 21 degrees with the sun and the moon together. And our north node, I actually don't have the south node in here, but it would be directly opposite at 24 degrees. So the nodes move actually in a reverse direction. So it's not exactly there quite yet, but as the node kind of moves backwards, it's going to then migrate towards that 21 degrees. So we might really, have a lot of change happening and starting this weekend, but then the south node will hit that 21 degrees kind of right at the end of the year and beginning of new year. So there could be some culminating points of whatever is initiated too in this eclipse. So yeah, we have a start of the north node that entered Aries. The north node actually went into Aries from that Taurus Scorpio axis back in July. So prior to that, we had 18 months of the nodes of the moon in a Taurus Scorpio axis. So anybody who had angles or points that those eclipses, because there's usually 2 eclipses a year, those eclipses hit were very strong for them in Taurus Scorpio. And we then had the north node move into the Aries. So now we're into the Aries Libra axis. So anybody with some really strong points, angles, first house, fourth, 7th, 10th angles, or their nodes in those houses, or their sun and their moon, they will be affected the most. And later on we're going to go through actually the 12 signs, which I typically we haven't done before, but I've gathered enough information that I feel that I can give people just an idea, just because this is such a major change, right? So with those nodes in the Aries Libra axis, it's kind of having us like break free, especially with the south node over in the area of the Libra. It's breaking free of certain relationships, partnerships, things that haven't been working, and also the north node focusing more on self and your own sovereignty and what you want to do as we go forward in this next phase of life and onward. So there'll be some very significant changes for people, and they're going to feel it very, very strongly, especially if you have you know, an Aries rising or sun and Libra. They're, you know, our Aries is about I am and self. The Libra energy is more about we and the other. And so that's, and then that it's just that concentration right now with this eclipse is in that Libra house of relationships. So there's just a lot of focus around how those are going to show up for us. With this annular solar eclipse, so the moon actually goes in front of the sun, so it's blocking the sun's rays. It's like you're having all these photons from the light of the sun and then it goes dark. However, because it's annular, that means that we actually have a ring of fire around that moon. You can still see the sun in the background, and that's what the annular part of it means. So there's a very I guess it's like a reset too when you have that eclipse, right? Because you're blocking all of the energy from that sun and it just goes dark and then it comes about again. People who are in the sort of the west and going into the southern part of the US and South America, Central America, they're actually going to be able to see this eclipse if using the right eye protection, of course. But they'll really be able to see it most visibly just because of that's where it is most visible in the actual sky. Yeah. So, and when you have an eclipse, it is just a huge, it's like having a new moon that is magnified, you know, at least 10 times. Like it's just a very potent new moon. However, when it's eclipsed, it's faded, it wants to make a change or redirection in your life. And with the South Node in Libra, it's a lot about releasing, letting go. And we actually, what we want to do is not really set big intentions like we typically would on a new moon because it is an ecliptic energy. So because it's faded, because it's going to happen anyway, and it's just gonna, the change is gonna, you know, be there, and you might be feeling it already. It's potentially already started for you, like probably, you know, maybe around September, end of September, like a month before, a month after. You know, it's not like that particular day is the only time things are going to change or shift for you. And so you could see this unfold over the next 18 months. It, you know, of course, is more concentrated here in October, and then, you know, maybe when that South Node actually crosses or gets to that 21-degree points. And anyone with any kind of angles, points, planets around that 21 degrees, say give yourself, you know, a 5 or 6 degree orb, it will be very potent for you as well. So yeah, it's just, it might feel, for some, it might feel like a very, you know, tumultuous, like a tidal wave of energy. And some might not notice it as strongly, but like everyone just needs to know that this is a karmic faded nudge, I guess, towards our destiny. And so whatever is occurring is supposed to be occurring. And like I said, we have eclipses like every 6 months. They come in pairs because we have it with where the nodes get close to the new moon and then the full moon. So that's, you know, something that we always experience, and they just go through these certain axes, yeah, for about that 18 months. So this is just for us as humans to learn, grow, expand, change, release, regenerate, find new ways that you know, there's certain things that we just have to let go of and surrender to because they're not working anymore, and they're also not part of our soul path. So we are going to see just some different things along the lines of our circumstances and people and jobs and patterns and all those kinds of things. And so then after we have this, you know, complete annular eclipse, which is which is the most strong, actually. And if you want to actually go back to some certain themes, you can go back to 2005. Like, it kind of started late 2004 and then into early 2006 when it went through these axes, as well as 1987. I think I had told you a different year previously, Gail, but 1987. And so when I was listening to Rebecca Gordon's webinar, which it was very informative. She talked about the Saros cycles. So these nodes, or these eclipses, actually have certain cycles that they're in, and they've gone on for thousands of years. So the October 14th one connects to a cycle that will also be, in April of 2024. But you can go back to that October 3rd time, 2005, September in 1987, and it's kind of part of this Saros cycle of 134. And then we have the lunar eclipse that will happen on October 28th, which is part of a different cycle. So the meaning of a solar eclipse in Libra in particular, like I was mentioning, is to do with our closest relationships, and everything just needs an upgrade. But it depends on the house that it falls in. And there are some other aspects in the chart that will be happening. So we're going to, potentially see, certain things where, there might be some patterns and belief systems that need to be let go of. And there might be some things that, you have issues with communication. And it's just a matter of, like, with partnerships, how are you communicating in those partnerships? And, are you holding on too tightly to certain things that really probably need to be let go of? So it allows you to look at, your attachment style, for instance, to, and the power dynamics within certain relationships. And there's just a need to change it, and being, extremely honest about what your needs are, with that Aries I am self, and how they can, you can both serve you and your relationships, right? Sometimes I just have to say, I mean, from our background of the upbringing and patriarchal ways, like, in a lot of ways, women carry this, they often carry this illegitimate or unjustified guilt, where they're just trying to always serve others, right? Like, doing and being just to be enough, or trying to find their voice. And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but there could be a lot of overgiving and, overcompensating in relationships. And now, as we see that shift happening in our whole consciousness of that, that not being the way that we want to do relationship anymore, when it, and it kind of, I know, as our kids are coming up, I mean, relationship all around is changing, right? I mean, it's not as focused on, who you're connected with. They're focused more on the human being. They're not as focused much on, the sex of the person or gender. They're not as focused as much on gender roles in the home. They want to do partnership in interdependent relationships better, right? As opposed to, kind of any power over, or any situations where there's somebody that has that more, dominance over each other, or more, too much dependence, or too much independence isn't good either, right? Because you're like, no, I'll just do it myself. I kind of had that going on in my life. and it doesn't serve us, right? So yeah, so we're going to look at anyone, like I said, with that 21 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. They're going to feel it the most strongly, people who have those on their angles and people who have their nodes there are going to feel that, just because there's that tension energy of a square to it. Where anyone with those points or angles or planets around 21 degrees of the Gemini, Leo, Sag, Aquarius, it'll be a sextile or a trine to the eclipse. And so that's a little bit more harmonious of an energy. And it might feel a lot more, easier, enjoyable, and lots of these things you've already felt coming, right? So people are kind of going to be aware. But I would say the Libra and the Aries, if you have your sun or your planets in these houses, they're definitely going to feel that very, very strongly. And we also have this, lunar eclipse on October 28th that is coming. That has kind of been a culmination point of our 18 months of the nodes in the Taurus, Scorpio, because that lunar eclipse is in Taurus. And so that one will be happening on October 28th, and it's connected also to one March 25th in 2024, but you can also go back to October 17th in 2005 and October 7th in 1987. And we can talk more because we are doing these moon gatherings, so we can talk more about that lunar eclipse in a couple of weeks. And it'll be very different than the solar eclipse. This one definitely has a lot more potency to it, I would say, this annular solar eclipse in Libra this weekend. And it definitely has a lot more to do with some pretty significant changes. So we'll look at what we can do with getting some more information for our lunar eclipse back, or in a couple of weeks when we gather for that one. So now as we move on, essentially some of the things we probably need to know is we have Pluto that's involved in this. So here's our eclipse here, right? And we have a square 27 degrees Pluto happening. So that's going to bring up a lot of transformation and whatever a point of tension. And with this being in the new moon, in the darkness of the new moon, we have to look at what's coming up from the underworld. Pluto's like the death and rebirth, and rising from the ashes after everything has been kind of crumbled to the ground, like in a very transformative way. So it's definitely activating it. But it's been a slow kind of process because Pluto's been in here since 2008. It's not like Uranus, or Uranus is like lightning bolt change, right? It's just like, whoa, where did that come from? This is like a shedding of the skin. This is like letting things die off that are just no longer serving you. And you may have been feeling all kinds of rumblings of change since, as Pluto's been there through 2008. It's just a little deeper dive, and it's, part of the psyche, and, definitely a real emotional and maybe cathartic experience, and can be very evolutionary and bring about some pain points as well, right? So we want to bring to the surface all that is underneath and been buried in the basement, shine some light on it, bring the balance back in, dive into, where are the shame and guilt and hurt and sadness and struggle and wounded parts of you. And, that's part of the other work that you and I do, and digging into, finding what's your story, where do those parts of you that you formed for safety and protection need to be healed. And that's part of your evolution as a human, right? And so when I do the empowerment coaching, which is, I usually bring the astrology in if somebody's open to it, that's what we're working through all of those emotions and rising our consciousness up so we can become more empowered. And that's what Pluto is to do too, is bring empowerment into your life so that you're living your best version of you. And so as we move into this, we're just going to see what is not serving us anymore. And there's just a real growth opportunity here, and integrating of all our different, parts of us. We also have Mercury involved, and Mercury is our mind and our thought processes, and it's a communication or communication style. So, and Mercury definitely brings into the mix, some particular communication that you're going to, you know, change, or because it's with the south node's over here, so it'll change things, maybe in who you communicate with or how you communicate. And because Venus, who just went through a major retrograde, she is in the sign of like Mercury rules Virgo, and she has moved into that sign of Virgo, and so that's a what they call a mutual reception. But Mercury, when it actually meets with the sun, and it will, like, later after the eclipse, it'll be kind of the sun, that whole, sun energy is going to be blocking that communication between those two. But so eventually it will be Kazemi, which is really a great time for some, communication to come through, and it can come through to you from out of nowhere, it almost seems. And once it gets past that, because when it's in the rays of the sun, it sort of gets blocked, and when it'll move past that, it will allow that mutual reception to happen a little more clearly. And, of course, Venus is about our love, beauty, aesthetics, creativity, things that are more intuitive and in flow. And they it's kind of different because it's in a Mercury sign, which is about rational, logical reasoning. It's not as, flowy, right? It's about organizing in details, and it's in that sign. So there's going to be a whole, I guess, integration of these energies together. But it can bring in some more, I guess, different skill sets or things where you need to change so that you can let yourself release what is not working and bring in something that is more harmonious and balanced in that Libra energy. And yeah, so I guess it's a matter of what can you do today, and that's different than you did all, in the previous times, and how can you make things better for you, and deciding what needs to stay and what needs to be let go of. So as we move into our different rising signs, so what we're going to do is go through so your rising sign is where this horizon was in the east when you were born. And the reason we do that is because then we can, if we put your rising sign here, we can say, okay, the eclipse is happening now in your 7th house. So we're just going to go through. So then we would move it so that Taurus would be the rising sign, and then that would shift that. So wherever that eclipse was land, that's how we were going to look at this. So if you don't know your rising sign, you can go on astro.com or Google it, or connect with me, or whatever you feel you want to do to figure that out. It's very important. It's very important for the horoscopes. I mean, yes, if you have your sun and different planets in those, in the sign of Libra or Aries, it's going to be a factor. But the themes we're talking about, well, to do with the house systems. And we're just going to go around the chart. There's a lot of aspects that are coming in next week as we go through the week. And you know, the first one we're going to find is the sun in Libra is going to be opposing Chiron in Aries too, and that brings in, you know, different ways of looking at our wounds and not seeing them the same way anymore, and bringing up some clarity around how our wounded parts of us, our vulnerabilities, our guilts, our shames, our fears, how we can integrate them and bring in some more healing for them. And we also have Mars moving into Scorpio, and Scorpio is that it's actually its home sign in traditional astrology. So that's a more comfortable place for Mars to be as well. And has a lot more power to it there. So, and then on the 18th of October, the sun in Libra actually will oppose totally the North Node, and then Mercury will follow. So because that node is at 24 degrees, it's just a little bit off. So yeah, we're going to see the Mercury, like I said, conjunct the sun, which is called a cazimi, on the 19th. And Mercury in Libra is going to square Pluto as well. So there's just a lot of strong energies over the next week, you know, following the eclipse. And yeah, we can look at more at how they might have come about too, as like when we meet again, we can look at how they might come about. So yeah, is there anything that you wanted to bring in before we get started on each of the signs? Gail's going to do, actually, I'll let you introduce what you're going to do for us, Gail, as we go through each of the rising signs.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I've learned another aspect. You know, there's so much information that you're giving us, and yeah, what I was hearing was that you're quite excited about like the sun next week, because this, you know, all the work that I've been doing around those, you know, around the Chiron, around the wounded healer. So that is great that it finally gets to be integrated. So I've got work to do in the next 7 days. I feel like I'm pleased to hear that it can start to shift with some inner work as well. And what I wanted to share while you're sharing the aspects of the rising sign was today I briefly wanted to introduce the viewers to the Dr. Bach 12 healers. So what I was offering, what I would to do is, if you know your rising sign, then I'm going to offer you a flower essence that might be very supportive at this time of this transition, you know, the next 2 weeks. So if you are emotionally going through a shift and you need some extra support, the flower essences I find are very helpful for moving you through. I like to think of them as soul fire, so really activating the soul energy, and not only because I know my rising sign is a fire sign, so it's like the flower essences have been really helpful for me through my spiritual journey, and I've been taking them for over 20 something years. So yeah, I work with the Dr. Bach system, very simplistic, and I know that they are available all around the world, so that healing modality. And it's something that if you need information on, you know, you can DM me or contact me through the contact in the site here, in the video below. So I'm not sure whether we're going to go and do them. Are we going to do each rising sign, and shall I follow you? Do we do it like that, or how do you want to do it? Shall we do it? Shall I do mine at the end? How would it work better for you?
Oh, I think it would be fantastic if you followed each one.
Yeah,
I think that would be yeah, a great way to do it. And then at the end too, if you wanted to share more, if you're going to do a workshop of any sort on any of this too, you can share that potential.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that.
I will follow your lead, and we've got plenty to talk about. So
yeah, we do. We better keep rolling. Okay. So
right.
Aries rising, and you can look at your Aries sun as well. In this, the solar Libra eclipse will be happening. So if we put Aries on the rising first house, it'll be happening in the 7th house. Partnership, marriage, connection, business, romantic or otherwise, any kind of partnership. Contracts, commitments, agreements, work-related relationships, collaborations, and now you will see that there is something that needs to be released that's blocking you, either emotionally, internally, or psychologically. There may be some power, control, fears, negative influences, or naysayers, and where there's some karmic patterns of these particular relationships that need to be released, purged, or surrendered. So we want to adapt and adjust, let go of the old way of working with someone or any of these particular agreements, and work-related partnerships, and need to update them. They need some new functionality. They might need some new communication, even if you're not ending a partnership. They might need some new parameters, routines, releases, and some way of completely bringing in a new line, potentially, of a contact or consultant in any kind of work that you're doing, and letting go of, I guess, a lot of focus on the clients and audience or marketplace, and allow yourself to have a little more focus on you and what works for you in in your life and your agreements and your partnerships. And this will be felt very personally for you because it is in that axis of where the eclipses are. And so be sure to look after yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and you'll want to help yourself bring in some sort of way to self-regulate your nervous system, and do some self-care, breathing, journaling, moving your body, being in water or nature, taking that Bach essence that you're going to present for us to help that energy move and shift. And we will want to spend time, even sometimes, with the people that we love for support if you need to, or find ways to get yourself supported, because you might be dealing with a lot of feeling of overwhelm or burden, or just a lot of energy, because there's going to be a lot of accelerated motion here. So you can look at what's happened over the last 20 years, and it might feel like everything's just culminating like in the year, like it's just like everything's on fast track. Whatever was kind of maybe in the background, it's just like in a year it just amplifies and evolves everything very, very quickly. And yeah, so you're ready for these relationships to shift or change in some way, or move on from them. And so, kind of, you've seen what Pluto has been doing since 2008 when it entered Capricorn here. As we know, in January, it's going to move into Aquarius and only dip back into Capricorn very briefly next year. It dipped into Aquarius, just for context, in the spring. And we are, now it just is stationed. So it's now moving back forward to Aquarius. So this is this last kind of few degrees of Pluto in Capricorn structures, and really big business or power over, or these kinds of very different energy than the Aquarius, which is grassroots up and more community, individual, people who want to work together in more collaborative ways, rather than that hierarchy kind of way. So I without getting too much into the Pluto energy, it just is very transformative. And we're looking at that for the Aries rising and Aries suns too, might be feeling this too, where it's a culminating point where we need to have some sort of refinement or different routine in our day-to-day. Yeah, so what do you have for us, Gail, to help move through that?
Oh, it's so apt, because with the flower essences, Dr. Bach, he wasn't highly advertising the fact that he was a mystic and that he did have an interest in astrology. There's a little bit written about it, but the fact that he did have an architecture of the 12 healers that were linked to the zodiacs is quite exciting, because you know there's more exploration. And so for the Aries rising zodiac, he has the hindrance called impatience. So this could be a temporary emotional state, you know, or it can be also a characteristic of the personality. So I think, you know, we can take these essences sometimes for our constant personality side, you know, so we can't generalize and say, yes, all Aries rising needs impatience, which is the flower essence signify. But the hindrance is impatience, and the virtue, which these essences are, how they work, they balance out any imbalances in the emotional state. So we go from impatience with impatience, and the virtue is forgiveness. And I guess that brings tolerance. And there's a lovely, like the picture of the, I haven't got all the pictures to show you for the whole range, but if anyone knows the flower Busy Lizzie, that's the you know, the horticultural name is impatiens. So a lot of us will have probably had impatiens growing in the summer pots during the year. So that's interesting. Yeah, we can relate to them on grassroots levels, because you know they're all around us in nature. So it's such a simplistic form of healing. So that's all I've got to say, and that fits with what they're going to be going through, but from the sounds of it. Yeah,
very good. Yeah, that's perfect. That is a perfect fit. So the next sign we're going to go on to is Taurus rising. And if we had shifted Taurus up into the first house, that puts this Libra solar eclipse in your sixth house. And so what that house is about is your health and body, pets, work life, day-to-day routines, and you know, employees, employers. And so what this could potentially mean is it's also about health too. It could mean that you're letting go of a job or old ways of working and communicating in that job with your, you know, particular employees or coworkers. What you want to look at is, where in your life is all of this just causing you too much heaviness, burden, or stress that could potentially enhance an illness, like in your daily routines? Or what can you do to help enhance your health, to make it better in all of your daily routines and work? So you might want to bring in also new tools or team members, or some awareness around, you know, your habits and patterns, and bring the new habits and patterns in that are just more beneficial for your health. And because what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is just no longer aligned, and doesn't feel like it's in your integrity, like what you value on your day-to-day just may not feel like it feels right anymore in the workplace. And if there's challenges with someone with your belief systems, or you know, what you feel is right or wrong with the people that you're working with, or the values or the morals that you have, or things around your ethics, it just might, the environment just might start to feel like it doesn't fit, or it's just too toxic, or there needs to be some sort of letting go or surrender to, or shift or change to help, you know, work on you and your health, and so that you feel better and don't feel so overwhelmed. You know, it might be just that you've just been too busy and in your daily life, or there might be some situations that you need to pull back from because they're feeling very heated or intense, or there might be, you know, something going on with the coworkers, employees, or your clients that you're serving. And if a client is not aligned with you anymore, it's okay to let them go too. So essentially, this just brings up for disruption in your day-to-day life, and wherever there might be an extra burden that comes in, like potentially you could even be looking after a sick pet, because it has to do with pets, the sixth house as well, or family member, or your responsibilities in your day-to-day life, or something to do with health and wellness. whether that be emotional, mental, spiritual, or psychological, may be causing you some more stress, and then it can show up for you physically, that stress taking its toll. So you'll really want to look after yourself and nourishing your body with good food and moving your body and doing some stress release, using the flower essence to help you shift the energy and keep yourself in motion, because emotion is energy in motion. And also, but then you also want to have the proper rest, which is really important and a good reason to give yourself a time out too as well. So whatever's happening is fated, and Pluto's been going through um, the ninth house. Then is what happens because of the shift this way. If we move this into here, that moves Pluto into the ninth, and that could bring transformation around your belief system, or a way that you're getting higher education, or something to do with travel or foreign cultures. And I mean, potentially, legal matters too, if something has been kind of in the background there, maybe just coming to an end. Maybe things have sorted themselves out. So um, the Venus will be then in your fifth house. So that helps, because that Venus will be, because you see Venus is in a trine to Pluto. And so that brings a real easy flow of access to the fun house and the joy and the pleasure. And there may be some shifts in your, things with your lover, partner, your children, uh, passions, a creative project, your, that are also affecting your day-to-day routine work life. And you get to let go of the things that um, maybe you have been doing for others, your children or somebody, too much. That's just too much of a burden on you as well. And making a change somehow in that day to day. So yeah, what do you have to help us move through that, Gail? Or the
Yeah, thank you.
Taurus risings?
So with Taurus rising, been shown the flower essence gentian, which is a beautiful purple flower. I don't know if you can see that close up. And the hindrance is doubt, and the virtue is understanding. And there's some other words here. So I think this actually goes with what you just said. So if there's any pessimism or skeptical, negative attitudes, annoyance, this essence will help bring optimism and enthusiasm, and it will balance out into a positive attitude. So that's a really nice one. If you've got, to go through all the themes that you've said, that's quite heavy, isn't it? All those themes that may have been influencing. So yeah, that's a lovely essence, gentian.
Yeah, the sixth house is a little bit more of a challenging house, because it's just affecting your day-to-day life, and potentially health, and pets, and your work life, what you do for work. So
Yes.
so now as we move forward, the Gemini rising have the solar Libra eclipse in the fifth house. So that's a little easier for them for sure, because the fifth house is about our fun, our joy, our play, things that spark and sustain our energy and vitality and enthusiasm, our creative endeavors, creative self-expression, pleasures, passions, romance, sex, entrepreneurship, and things we love to do, and also our children. So if the situation fits, this could even bring like an unexpected pregnancy. But no,
Ooh.
it's a fated one, right? Like it's a karmic relationship with this little soul that you are meant to have. It's an opening of the heart, maybe to an old flame potentially, because it's from the past, right? Um, but it's a new potential um, opening of the heart, and potentially of a love affair. And but maybe the person is totally new, but they feel familiar, right? They maybe there's some just sort of like, I think I've known you before, past life, whatever, however you want to look at it, right? There could be Also a renewal or regeneration of things that fill your soul or like bring back a past passion or hobby, or something you love to do, or the creative endeavor that you started but you didn't carry on with. And so now something has shifted in you and you feel like inspired, which we often refer to as in spirit, in a new way. Potentially you're letting go of something to do with fifth house themes as well, because of the south node in that it'll be in that fifth house. And and we'll want to be passionate like about what we're doing, because if it's not bringing you that passion and joy, that fulfillment, then that means that it's time for you to let it go. It's not aligned anymore. So pay attention to also what you're giving to others and how much you're giving to your children or your lover, or and find more things that bring you joy. And so this could involve someone else or be in conjunction with another person. Your priorities like focus now somewhere else, and possibly on your children. And so that might change kind of what you're doing as well. So, um, there could be something that comes in with the children too, which of course I've gathered lots of this information from, all my teachers and stuff too. So, we're not sure how these are all going to play out, but it could be something with the children could be a big deal, and or financially bring up fears of like they're like taking on a new sport that is going to cost you a lot of money. But from my teacher from Heather, like she was just saying, like it's more of psychologically rather than maybe the reality of it. Maybe it's not going to in reality not be as bad as like you feel like it might. So the Pluto in the eighth house since 2008, for them, has to do with the money and debt and taxes and investments and inheritance, and also that spiritual occult like our astrology and mysticism and tarot and all of those different things. So that Pluto transformation also will have something to do with maybe other people's money and debt and taxes, or a transformation in a new psychological or taboo subject that you bring into your life. So yeah, that will be how the Gemini risings feel that in some ways. I'm always interested to know how it actually really shows up for you. So what flower essence is going to help us through that?
This is so aligned. This is the flower essence Serato. And when I recommend this, this is about aligning heart with the head, or aligning the head with the heart, we should say. So you spoke a lot about, the psychological. So this is a brilliant remedy for uncertainty. The hindrance word, Dr. Bach has given ignorance. So where there may be ignorance, Serato will help bring wisdom. And so I feel like it's more intuition. So it's about allowing us to just get out of our heads and to bring us back into the heart. And it's just a beautiful blue flower that can really help us. It can help us in a lot of situations. So, hey, Gemini rising, this will be a really helpful remedy through this transition if you are going through any of those things that, Diana's just spoke about. So
yeah. And the
luck
fifth house, all about that opening of the heart in some way, and fulfilling your own heart for sure. So thank you for that. That's awesome. And so we're going to move on now to Cancer rising, and the solar Libra eclipse will be happening for you, Cancer risings, in the fourth house of home, living situation, family roots, property in the past, your ancestry, and what's going on behind closed doors. So this is a potential for a change in that area of relationship, or something to do with your parents, or something to do with family members. There could be some sort of practical adjustment that you need to relate, or a way of communicating, or the way the family dynamics function. And so something might need to be released there in the way that the family dynamics are done, or an old issue comes to surface in your family, and this may result in like releasing of like an old ongoing situation with a family member, and maybe it's time to cut that relationship loose, um, because it's just not aligned with you, and it's more, more struggle than it is bringing what you need in your life. There's something you need to let go of that might be more psychological, like from a pattern or attachment, or kind of what's, a fear or something that's like having control over you, involving any of the themes around home and family and real estate. So this also could be an expansion of the area of the home, but also maybe letting go of your home or moving to a new environment, or relocating. So that might even come up fast, and then it just feels really intense. So just know that it's meant to be, even though it's going to maybe feel like a big whirlwind of change. It is, if that happens, that in the big picture, it's going to be good for you, right? And maybe it's just time for you to be living around new people. Maybe you're moving closer to a family, group of people. So this could be really psychologically, mentally overwhelming, and even getting rid of, some material stuff in your home. A few things that are um, in your kind of cluttered space that are no longer serving you. So you want to like declutter that energy, and so that you can bring in other things that are more aligned with you. And so letting go also of an old way of relating, interacting, communicating with any of your relationships or bonds that are familial, and any kind of significant change in the home in some way might come about. So yeah, what do you have for us for the Cancer, or for
Gosh.
the Cancer risings?
So hello, Cancer rising. I have the flower essence clematis, which is clematis, and that's the climbing one, isn't it? I am.
Oh yes, my mom referred to it as clematis. She pronounces it
Thank you.
clematis. Yes.
I knew that I couldn't say it the way that you would say it. So yeah, that's how you say it in your country.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is the hindrance is indifference, and the virtue is gentleness. So that's such a shift, isn't it? Moving away from absent-minded, daydreaming, being light-headed, giddy, clumsy, inattentive, to bringing focus, interest, creative energy, and groundedness. So isn't that lovely? That was a really helpful one, especially if you're the idea of moving, or letting go, being indifferent is like, oh wow, what a helpful remedy that would be. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that. And so we'll move on to Leo rising and the solar Libra eclipse that's going to be in your third house of communication, your neighbors, siblings, cousins, your neighborhood community, and those in the physical, like proximity of where you live. Early education, gathering knowledge and information, your basic skill sets or certifications. It's the communication house, like sharing information via email, letter, phone. Can be like the back and forth movement too, such as what your vehicle that you use to commute with, or that kind of thing. And but it does have a lot to do with the mind. It's uh, potentially then letting go of even an old way of thinking, and this could bring about sharing of information in an entirely new way to the world. It might be able to, help others shift consciousness in their mind, and potentially bring in new work, contract, or agreement involving writing or speaking or teaching or podcasting, video broadcasting, or writing a book. It could be a whole new way of learning or educating that will benefit you and others. And there could be some weird communication too that comes through connected to your work, or an intense conversation or a situation that comes up with work or sibling, or somebody in your neighborhood, or the way you're, that you have to deal with suddenly. And maybe there's something that has to be let go of there. Um, the square to Pluto might bring some transformation and change in the way that you communicate with your colleagues, and the work and employees, employers, the health protocols, your pets, or your siblings. So all that sixth house transformation with the Pluto. And it may even be someone who's been estranged or distant, even comes back around so that you can reestablish a relationship. So letting go of any of your power and control issues and sort of talk things out, that communication, and let things flow. So this could also be new ways of the way you commute, as I spoke about with the vehicle, or purchasing or refinancing a new vehicle, and how you get back and forth to work, and or revisiting an old travel plan or opportunity to travel, and that could come up for you. So Venus in that trine is helpful in the career and work area. So let go and surrender to ways that you're making money, growing and prospering, and anything to do with the third house where the solar eclipse is. So yeah, you go ahead and tell us how we work through that one.
Yes.
For
Leo rising,
rising.
I haven't got the color of the flower here, but the flower is vervain, and the hindrance is over enthusiasm, and the virtue is moving towards tolerance. So there's a tendency to be maybe a little bit, they're showing fixed principles here, so about ideas. So this is about bringing in like, I feel that this is more about becoming more rounded in a sense, and having and giving you courage. So yeah, it's all very Leo energy, isn't it? The courage.
Oh yes, Leo. Yes, absolutely. About courage. Yes.
So that's what I have for you. And if they have been going through an illness, the message is, in an illness they struggle on long after many would have given up their duties. So this is time to reevaluate those beliefs, and obviously about how you're managing. But the vein is a very helpful one to bring balance back. So hope that helps.
Yes. Yes. I have actually taken vervain in my time. Yeah, so Libra rising, the solar eclipse in Libra. Wow, this is a major one for you, Libras. It's your first house, the house of you, of self. And so now is the time for you to put yourself first. This is a letting go of your approach to who you are and how you show up in the world, your appearance, it could be even your physical body, and a transformation with your physical body and the way that you identify in the world, or like how others see you, and it's how you perceive the world and how others perceive you. So this cycle is huge for you. It's a major ending, and this is a chance to go big, to be you, to shine your light as bright as you can shine it, and take up more space, and whatever's in the way of that, to let that go. So your entire life can change right now, and is likely already in motion, and that is a complete transformation of you and self. And so after this year, you likely will feel like an entirely different person, and very regenerative, and a whole renewal and recovery after what has been burned down to the ground with the Pluto, and are broken down in your life. And you will be able to show yourself to the world, and you will not look, probably act, speak, or relate to people the same. It might be very dramatically different in the way others view you, and like just everything's going to change. The transformation, of course, like that is not always comfortable. There could even be family issues or attachments connected to past traumas, or your mother or your father, that are holding you back and putting yourself first, because that wasn't what you were shown or taught, and you need to release that. And it's a chance to cut yourself loose from any potential toxic relationships. If there's family that you're hanging on to from the past that you don't align with anymore in your belief systems, and what they imposed on you, like from your family of origin or your primary caregivers, this is going to allow you to find that sense of self and to release the masks or the parts of you that have been keeping you feeling safe and protected, because that's what you did as a child. You formed those parts. And I work with, people who uh, have this going on within them that need to transform and shine light on those parts and integrate them. We often have these masks that we wear, and so this will be doing a lot of work around releasing all of those parts of you that you've used just for protection mechanisms. So showing the world your truest colors, having more interest in yourself, and it also will have some part to do with your financial story or investing more in you and yourself, your self-love, self-care, um, and awareness from the emotional and physical health and the work that will bring a new beginning for you. So, yeah, just be very aware of what your soul is calling you to do. The first house has a lot to do with, you know, how you're perceived in the world and how others perceive you, but it really is this soul persona um, that you're putting out there, but your soul really wants you to connect to that ascendant and your rising sign. It's been spoken of as what you're rising into. And you're um, going through a major death and rebirth to get there. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. There might be some news that come in regarding other people's money, inheritance loans, mortgages. So some eighth house things, and but there could be uh, and that's due to the the Venus, I believe, and that could bring in some financial gain for you. So Pluto is transforming. Pluto will be down here in the fourth house and transforming some things to do with your home and family, property, real estate, private life, roots, and ancestry. And that's been going on since about 2008. So, yeah, if what do you have for all of our Libra risings who are going through a major transformation?
It's so incredible. It's Libra rising. The hindrance is indecision, and the virtue is steadfastness, and the flower essence is scleranthus. So that is just so perfect for all of that. Huge shifts, indecisive, uncertainty, unbalanced, changeable, feeling a little dizzy with those decisions that they're making. And from this essence, Scleranthus will help you become decisive and give you the stability and the balanced authority that you perhaps are not feeling as you make before you make those decisions. So isn't that wonderful? What a great helpful flower essence that can be. Libra rising.
Oh, yeah, so perfect for the Libra, because that's a whole thing is Libras don't focus on self usually. Typically they focus on others and what's best for others, and even
Yeah.
trying to make decisions can be so difficult because they're always considering the other or need to talk it out with the others. So, yeah, that would be a very helpful one. Now we're going to move on though to Scorpio rising, and the solar eclipse in Libra will be happening for you in the 12th house. So this is something that's going on behind the scenes. The 12th house is the hidden house. It often was connected to hospitals and ashrams and prisons and retreat centers and addiction centers and all of those kinds of places. And has been referred to as the house of endings, undoings, and releasing old patterns, old habits, old wounds, traumas, taking on a new approach to relationships, potentially even can be the house of some hidden enemies, and but this is letting go of potential people, and also letting go of the way that you're a people pleaser and tendencies to do that, and things like where you're over giving and giving away too much of giving away the farm, just to help please others, right? So um, giving away things too for free. So letting go of what's no longer serving you, and also being brought to the surface is an old partnership. So you may take more time and space to allow yourself to go into this hidden space of rest and relaxation, and looking and nurturing at yourself. And so not out there in the world doing and going and in goal oriented type things. You need time to go into the imagination world and the meditation world, and allow your emotional body and mental body to catch up in the physical realm. So what do you need to do on your day-to-day basis, as these things are changing, and what do you need to let go of in areas of life for your best health, best choices in your lifestyle? And you need to surrender and let go of anything that's hidden away or feeling too toxic. This is an ending of things to move forward, and even sometimes of those who rely too much on you, like friendships or partnerships that you've had, and find ones that are more supportive for you, and creating that silence and space to allow yourself some recharge and meditation and breathing, and so the energies that you can actually re-energize yourself and bring that back into your life. And that that includes the people that you're spending time with, and who's in your space, and the energy of the people in your space. So the eclipse will bring you inward as opposed to outwards, and so you want to notice any dreams or messages that come through, any deep spiritual message. The dreams can be even very powerful and intense and wild and kind of weird. So, I mean, if you want to keep that diary beside you to write down before you get into awake state, what comes through in the dreams. They could even like disrupt your sleep at times. So it's just bringing to the awareness of what you need to let go of. And this could be someone, or also someone, because it is, like I mentioned, that hidden enemies speaking or working against you. And so that will be revealed through the eclipse, and an ending to that. So Pluto in the third house can be a very dramatic change in your neighborhood, or where you live, or your online groups, or any allies, or connections. And with the Venus there, it could be the female friendships as well. So that is what we have for the Scorpio risings. And how can they remedy that? Thanks.
This is perfect. This is chicory. Chicory.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, chicory is it's the hindrance is restraint, and the virtue is love. So it's like everything you said was, the feeling secure, feeling nurtured, and feeling appreciated, and taking that time. So if the other word is smothering, possessive, selfish, clingy, attention seeking. So if there is any of those lesser energies going on, it's like, oh, I can detach from that and bring myself unconditional love. So isn't that wonderful?
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So our Sag rising will have the solar eclipse in Libra, and they have kind of a real easier time too, with that bright and fresh and new start in the 11th house. So our 11th house is here. So that's where the Sag rising's eclipse will be, in finding and creating your new community. Social groups, allies, networks, associations, or clubs that you want to bring in, that give you a sense of belonging, and help you feel aligned, and aligning with the people in the tribe that you want to collaborate and connect with. And that will be better for your future and for your hopes and wishes and dreams. So creating new goals in your life, and connecting with these groups of people that potentially will be very beneficial for you. There could be even some that come back around from the past that will be beneficial to you as well. And so, and not focusing so much on all the shoulds, like letting go of the struggles and everything that was feeling hard. So this is about like connecting with who you align with, that actually will help you get to that place of fulfilling your dreams and hopes and wishes, and the goals that you have. And and forming alliances as well to help do so, to achieve what you desire. So there may be an ending or bringing in of some different contract or agreements or collaborations to support these career goals in the professional path, and will bring in more financial stability and security. So if there's a need to end some sort of old contract, or bring it back in a new way, or there could be a friendship that needs to be reevaluated as well. So things that are no longer working for you will need to be let go of. There may be someone or a group of people that also that come around that feel really deeply familiar. Like there's just a natural comfort, like you've known them from the past and there's a karmic connection to them, and that will change your life in some very important way. So if you're not sure how this is coming about just yet, stay tuned. You might have that come up. And with the North Node in Aries, it's going to help you heal and light up your fifth house of the creative and entrepreneurial endeavors, and the romance or children or passions, fun, play. And Pluto is going to then also be transforming your second house of money. And what's been happening since 2008, that's around your money, finances, your self-worth. And this offers a chance for renewal and recovery and restoration and regeneration of a career too, that can be done through that 11th house of networking and friendships and groups of people. So yeah, Saggy risings, Gail.
That's
There you
me.
go. That's you.
That's me. I've got the card, the flower essence, agrimony, and the hindrance is restlessness, and the virtue is peace. So moving towards the peace, and part of that requires agrimony will help you to take off the mask that you're wearing. So it's quite interesting what you said there. Inner torment, putting on a brave face, and the opposite of that is agrimony will bring you to inner peace and the ability to express one's feelings. So what a fabulous essence to end on.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, on to our Capricorn risings. And this solar eclipse in Libra is happening in your 10th house, which is the house of your public reputation and shining the light on the top of your chart in that career, or where you're out in the world, and the status and honor and fame, and where you're seen, and as a out in the world, and how others view you out in those spaces. So there might be something coming up that you're invited or asked to move into new opportunities that could help climb the ladder, like a promotion or a door opening or even a brand new career. The Capricorn likely, because they're Capricorn, they love it doing things the best and mastery and very disciplined, and they often have big ambitions. So but they need to let go of trying to control everything, because that's a tendency as well. So because of the eclipse, there is no controlling energy. It's just a fated event, and there could be a boss, a manager, or some form of leadership that's potentially leaving with this South Node there, or a change in a way, or letting go of something professionally for you. You may be moving into a whole new sector or industry or line of work, because the environments or the clients or whoever that you are working with no longer feel aligned, and you just need to change it up. So no longer living with so much spotlight on you in the public eye could be as well, like your big picture or what you're achieving and your big dreams and goals, um, out there in the world, and the social status, and being on how you're recognized in the outside world, and getting all that applause and accolades, um, and how you might be able to now shift that. Maybe your priorities shifting in the legacy that you want to leave. So in addition, there might be something that brings in what feels like would be more joyful for you. Something to do with the ninth house of higher education or travel or spirituality or higher wisdom, and knowledge, and foreign cultures and lands. And this topic might be very close to your heart. And for now, you are finding that that's where you want to focus your attention. And so, this could even involve somebody leaving their career because of a mat leave, or because they're retiring, and changing it all up and doing something you're more passionate about, or something that will change your family. So you're trying to essentially match how you feel inside with that public and outer life and your status out in the world. And so kind of really letting yourself discover what you really deeply need and want and desire, and then purge and letting go of what's no longer working for you in that external career world, or your public reputation and status, so you can get into alignment. So this this new career, if you switch things up with your career, could also feel really familiar, like it's from the past too, with that South Node there. And so there's an opportunity there for, even though you're making a major change, it might feel actually really comfortable. So yeah, that's basically shining light on the top of the chart and the career public reputation house. So how can they work through that with the Bach remedy?
Mimulus has showed up for Capricorn rising. So Mimulus, this yellow flower here, with the help for the hindrance is fear, and the virtue is sympathy. And there is so if there is known anxieties, this one's really helpful for any apprehension that you might be feeling going through that change. Mimulus is a remedy for known anxieties, so things like fear of the dark, things that you might have a fear of change, and this is helpful because it gives you courage, boldness, and confidence. So what a fabulous, really fabulously aligned.
No, that's one. Perfect. Yeah,
Perfect.
As you change your career life, or how you're seen out in the world. I mean, because if you're retired, sometimes it has to do with volunteer or that kind of thing. All right, so we're getting through it here. Our Aquarius rising, solar eclipse in Libra. This brings a major change in the ninth house. So it's again an easier energy. And so this is the house of higher education and knowledge, foreign travel and culture, as well as publishing, broadcasting, anything to do maybe with legal or court matters, a renewal and recovery and regeneration of yourself, of potentially your belief systems, and letting go of a potential, philosophy you have about life, or bringing awareness around to old philosophies that are just no longer serving you, and how you do partnership and relationship as well. So, or even letting go of, potentially a teacher or mentor that you had, and you're now switching, in another direction. So this might be bringing to a close an existing educational pursuit, and maybe that you just don't want to invest any more time or energy or money or whatever into that space. So letting go of a teacher, as I mentioned too. You may want to switch directions completely, and you may decide to share or teach or learn or be out in the world expanding consciousness and helping people expand their mind with the knowledge and wisdom that you're gaining, and possibly even putting information out there in the world on the web. So as an Aquarius rising, here I am. That fits perfectly. You may already have that experience and knowledge and wisdom that you need, and the affinity for something. So maybe you felt like you couldn't do it because you're trying to get so much more training and education, but the level that you have might be just just what you need in order to start sharing that, and and you might not need as much as you thought you once did. You know, or you could, like I said, switch it up. You might want to take on a new course, a new educational program, a higher degree, or become a teacher. But whatever you're doing might actually feel really familiar or comfortable, or like you've done it in you know, a past lifetime even. This could bring in a new and good potentials with joint finances, eighth house stuff, shared assets and resources, other people's money, you know, partners with life of your business. And this transformation over the next year can be very profound. And also the 20 years to follow, because Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and that happens to be your first house. So this will be a major transformation of self, and it dipped in the spring, as mentioned, and will be back in Aquarius starting in the beginning of the new year of 2024. And that will definitely bring about a transformation for Aquarius risings. And it has not been there for 246 years ish. So you may have something also come up with, you know, travel plans, or where you're traveling to, or a past connection or karmic energy that might change your life forever too. So, you know, if you're wanting to travel, or a travel plan isn't working out, it's time for you to let that go too. So there's, yeah, lots happening for the Aquarius risings, but it is an easier energy for them as well. So what do you have for us for the Aquarius rising, Gail? I'll have to go buy some.
So yeah, Aquarius rising, I am not quite sure, but the hindrance is grief, and the virtue is moving towards joy. So with the water violet energy, so that's really helpful. And that water violet, I always choose that for people if they're quite isolated or detached, and you know, independent. So that, like you say, moving
interesting.
to, you know,
And Aquarius, the word detached, right? That's a very common connection there. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, moving towards connected, warmth and communicative. So it's like you say, that future energy is that yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Connection.
Oh, great. Perfect. So our Pisces risings, and we'll be having our solar eclipse in Libra, and is happening in the 8th house. And the 8th house is other people's money, investments, taxes, insurance, the occult, the house of sex, psychological or emotional intensity, traumas, experiences from the past could come back around. This has a lot to do with the taboo subjects, or, you know, things like your mysticism, you know, tarot, astrology, all those kinds of things as well. So this could be a time where you're also entering a new financial realm, and where you're realizing that you can, you know, materialize the visions that you had since 2012. And Neptune entered into Pisces. And so you may have been feeling this creative, imaginative spark. And now with Saturn there, and Saturn actually with the Pisces has retrograded right back to 0 degrees of Pisces. That, you know, brings in some structure to that house of, you know, things that are usually typically related more to the oneness and spirituality. And so this could bring in a way to manifest the resources, or materialize what you want in life, of what you had in that visions of the Pisces, you know, imagination, and you know, what's come through in dreams, or there's something that you're willing to invest in for a new start or a venture. It can be letting go also of old debts, or the sharing of money and joint finances and collaboration or ties to other people's money. So, I mean, and yeah, potentially, you know, if you've had a separation happen, it could be the ending of, you know, joint finances with a partnership or marriage, or that kind of thing. But typically you would, you know that has been in the works for a while. And there is just a new way of doing, I guess, things with other people's money. And, you know, maybe there's something to do with letting go of the attachments in your, psychological mind of what's been difficult, and releasing, the debts, or reviewing or revisiting the shared assets or resources that you've had with a change in partnership or financial affairs. So, it might be a time you want to consult with a financial advisor too, or clear up some of these old, money deals or debts that you've had, or the affairs, and bring about things in a new, more practical and solid way. So, physical or emotional, intimate physical relationships that need an adjustment, or you might be letting that go in some way, and or the way that you connect with your marriage partner, and letting go of any kind of relationships also that have created some psychological attachments, and or put you in crisis. So this ending is, might be something to do with things that you just don't want anymore, power control issues, what you were thinking about, maybe it's also looking into life insurance or investments or that kind of thing. um, but it might also bring around, like, because the eighth house has to do with death, it might bring some fears around, not like you are dying, but like the awareness of what that looks like, right? And wanting to, get a will together, and what that death or dying or your own mortality might, involve. So it might have this, you might feel a need to emotionally and psychologically look into this area more deeply, just because of something that you feel is changing and been brought to surface. And there might be some healing that comes up around this sort of thing too. So that's what we have for the Pisces rising. Oh, I think you're on mute still.
So cat was making a lot of kerfuffle in the
Oh,
background.
right.
So I don't know how much background noise there was at the time. So yeah, with Pisces rising, the flower essence rock rose is being indicated, and interesting, the energy, the hindrance is terror, and the virtue is courage. So, I could say, even if you're talking about, that there's panic, there could be, alarm, any of those energies. Terror sounds a little bit like, terror is frenetic, and the positive element this brings round is bravery, security, and safety. So that makes sense, like even fixing that up with your, facing your finances after marriage breakdown. It's all that, it takes courage and application, doesn't it? So what a good essence to be helpful, to be useful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was all 12 signs. Thank you for that. Thank you. What a helpful way. I'm so happy that came through for you to help everybody that's listening with those different flower essences. And they're so aligned always, right? It's just energy is so amazing. And yeah, so as I mentioned before, this visible eclipse will is kind of going to be seen more prominently in the Midwest of the US, and then it kind of goes through Central and South America. And so that energy might be even felt even stronger for people. And so pay attention to what needs to be released, surrendered, let go of, for your own destiny, and shift towards your own destiny, and know this is fated. And even if it's uncomfortable, um, or even more pleasant, just know that whatever's coming up around this time, and into, I guess even near the end of the year, when that node hits the degree of the eclipse, we just have to allow and look after ourselves while we're going through all this transformation, and let the endings and cycles and patterns and all of those things go, people, places, whatever it is, that however it's affecting you. And we will, yeah, there we have Pluto involved at that 27 degrees. So it definitely is a transformational process, and can also bring in some, triggers, or um, whatever it is doing. It's to allow that Libra energy of bringing in more, harmonious balance, and things that are more fair and just. And we want to have more aligned partnerships and relationships. So I hope everyone got something out of our little recap here. These are just, very brief things that I found from doing my research, from my teachers, and looking at the energies and where they fall in the houses. It, has all kinds of things to do with your own chart. And if you want to look at that more closely, I have my contact info underneath at my email is dianacanbefreed@gmail, and my handle is Out Amongst the Stars Astrology, or outamongstthestars.com. And yeah, I can be reached there. And Gail, you have some, your information will be there as well through Relax and Shine, and also a workshop coming.
So I'm going to be doing some in-person workshops locally to me, and I'm really open to, if people want to meet online, I'm really open to setting something up if people want more information about the flower essences. That really excites me. So we could have something in the pipeline there. And any questions that you have around flower essences, I do make them up for people here in the UK. So I was going to say, anyone who's in Canada, anyone, locally, have a look for your local flower essence practitioners, so that you could have essences, made up locally. For me to send them across the world, it doesn't quite, the carbon footprint doesn't kind of make sense at the moment. But definitely, find your local flower essence practitioner, and let's share this ancient wisdom, and let's help ourselves stay true to ourselves during this massive transition and these planetary changes that we're going through. And yeah, stay true to you. That's what I think. This is what nature's showing us right now, isn't it? So thank you.
Oh my, yeah, we have a lot of shifting energies. The Pluto into Aquarius is really significant for everyone in the world. So not to mention anything else that's coming up and around it. And of course, this eclipse squaring it just really makes it more even profound. But we I was going to say, for anybody online that's watching too, you also do the tarot reading. So that is something, if people are interested in having some cards pulled for them as well. I do the astrology, and but Gail also does the tarot. So we can be here to support. We both have our different elements that we bring. I do some empowerment coaching as well, and Gail has different modalities that she does too. So you can look up our information online, and I hope that everybody gets through this eclipse knowing what's happening, bringing the awareness to it very in the way that suits them most, and know that, like I said, it's just that nudge towards our destiny. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And
thank you. Thank you for your thorough information today. It's been really enlightening. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Have a
Okay.
good weekend.
Yes, we will see everybody. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll then look at the lunar eclipse in Taurus. So that we can talk about in our next gathering 2 weeks from now. So yeah, everybody, thanks for being here. Bye for now.
Bye.